Welcome, I'm the DeadwoodJedi. This is another Raid Shadow Legends video, and I'm really excited to have my good buddy on YST back to talk about the Clover Clan Boss draft. I think everybody feels like you might have drafted the best team. You've been talking a lot of redemption because, of course, you were not a winner in the original Clan Boss draft. You got your butt beat by me in our little bet for the free-to-play challenge. Yeah, so this is like your redemption arc right here. Of course, you know, I'm trying to play spoiler for that, but how you feeling so far, man? How you feeling about your draft and everything else?
I'm not feeling too bad, I guess. I don't know where everyone else is at because I'm not in the same clan as you and the other guys, right? I think in my clan at the moment, I've only got Nubrates, who I've not really caught any glimpses. So right now, I've got no clue where anyone's at. But what I've been doing is, just in case Nubs is keeping an eye on me, I've been... it's so funny. I've been force keying 11 keys before I start any runs. So I do 11 keys at 0 damage, and then I start doing damage.
Of course. I do the same thing. That's the obvious solution. Yes. I was stuck with Hades for a little bit in his clan. I left my clan to go look for one to kind of be a little bit under the radar, and I found Hades. I wasn't looking for it, but he was there, and so like I could see he did like X amount of damage, but he had like 12 keys to get there. I immediately just force quit 3 keys before I did my first run. Like off the
At least
bat.
I'm not the only one. I felt bad for doing that. I was like, nah, no one's getting a hand on me this time. No, it's cool though,
you gotta spoil it, man. You gotta keep the information as minimal as possible, right? Keep them on their toes.
That's true.
But actually,
even, like what you're saying before as well is like you won against me in that free-to-play series, and then Hell Hades won the last Clan Boss draft, and then Colbury won the faction games. So I'm like, redemption. This is just I'm gonna go buy myself a redemption hoodie. Red Dead Redemption.
I love it. Oh, that's great. That's great. Yeah, I mean, I feel like you definitely have the squad to put you in that position. I mean, you know, if we look at the draft, you started off, I mean, I think very strong and kind of kept going all throughout. You got your Deacon Armstrong right off the bat, which you were pretty sure was going to be the champion band, but if not, that's only to your benefit. Geomancer, stellar pick, right? Just a top tier damage dealer and good damage mitigation too to help you survive. And then the pick of the draft, I think, was Hitatsu. Now, I mean, I don't know if you actually know this, but I put out a draft grade article. So I went through every pick and graded them. So you guys can check that out on the website. But like, I thought Hitatsu was like the pick of the draft, in my opinion. And then of course, you know, personally, I thought it changed the complexion of your team and just the draft in general, because that's he brings so much to the table and allows you to focus on different stuff. I mean, really, the draft started after the ban phase. Once we knew what we had, you picked up Godseeker and Haikatoon, gave you that 2-1 ratio combination right there, and then finished it off with Rear Guard Sergeant. But like everybody else has at least one pick that you look at and you go, maybe that's not a good one. There's nobody on your list where I said that. Everyone was like, yep, these are solid picks. Even if they're not super exciting, not one of them was like subpar, in my opinion, right? Like, I don't think anybody loves Haikatoon, but obviously does a job that you need done, you know, and pretty good. So, I mean, how did you feel about your draft, like just going through it with the picks that you got?
It went, well, to be honest, like with me before, if you remember in the pre-draft when we was all speaking, and I said, everybody say your favorite green champion at once, and I was like, White Dryad Nia. And I didn't expect anybody to choose that as a first pick. And then basically I would say, I'm not sure how you guys was before the actual draft itself, but I didn't write out like champion names. I kind of wrote out champion roles because I felt like in my head I already kind of know it's better to just think on the fly with these sort of things instead of writing them down, because it completely throws you off. But one champion I did have written, well, I had a few, but maybe a handful, but White Dryad Nia was like my niche pick that I was going to choose last. I thought there's no chance, no one's choosing this. But when I got chosen, it changed everything, because I actually had a very similar idea to Cold Brew, to kind of abuse a ally attack role and try and boost as many ally attacks in the earlier rounds to see if I can deal more instant damage instead of longer battle damage, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah.
But it'll be tricky to do that, but I thought it'd be a really cool take on a team that no one's seen before. So I'll be anxious to know if Cold Brew can actually make that work.
You and me both. I just did an interview with him and just put that out yesterday. So I think he's a little curious about it too. But as I was telling him, his team is probably the most anticipated one, because I feel like there is a lot that can be done there as far as building that squad and approaches to it he can take. With Runekeeper Dazzler, with White Dryad Nia, there are more than a few different possibilities of approaches that he can take on that. So I'm really excited about that. I like it. In terms of like my Deacon Armstrong, like when I chose it, I kept saying like I was gonna choose. Well, my strategy with this anyway is I'm gonna choose my bannable champion first, right? But I did, when it actually came to that point, Deacon wasn't the person I was gonna choose to get banned. It was actually Maneater. Sure. So the only reason I chose Deacon is because I know that if you got your hands on a Deacon, it would be crazy, right? And I was like, I know he's going to choose a Maneater, but I'm not sure if you remember, but in the actual draft itself, when you had your second pick, I was trying to like sway your heads around a bit. I was like, increase turn meter and increase speeds. I was kind of throwing like little phrases in there. And then I was just trying to stop you from using Skull Crusher because I knew that I was coming up next. And I was like, no. I think I left the actual screen once as well. I took my headphones off. I was like, damn. I legitimately forgot about Skull Crusher. And like, I don't know, like I thankfully remembered him at the last minute, but like, I legitimately forgot about it. It was just going to be like Maneater and I don't know who else, Geomancer or something. And I was like, oh, of course. How can I forget that champion? He's definitely in my number one tier list, right? So, you were doing work there on that one for sure. It's an interesting thing. I'm curious, how's Geomancer faring for your team so far? I mean, he's obviously, everybody knows Geomancer. He brings weaken, he brings HP burn. He's a top tier damage dealer with just his passive abilities in damage mitigation, but I hear a lot of people keep talking about he needs time to ramp up his damage. I'm curious as to like how you're finding playing with him is, if he really is a top tier champion in this type of a format, or just kind of like mediocre.
You gotta remember, like, even though it might take a bit of time to ramp up, like getting to the ramp up stage is very, very difficult, because like traditionally with these kind of teams, we have like a Underpriest Brogni or a shield champion. But if you have a look at my team, there's not a single shield in this team. I've got like one form of ally protection, and that's not even a double ally protection. It's just one, which is getting extended. So one champion's taking all of the heat and no one's really protecting her in a sense. So without the shield buffs, getting to those like stuff that I'm used to with like an Underpriest Brogni is just very, very hard to do. I'd say that. Also with Geomancer, like one of his turns where he's actually placing the burn, you're kind of missing out on War Master ticks as well. If you guys, so compared to like a raw damage dealer or with like Giant Slayer procs, you're kind of missing that quite a lot. Although it is going to be a 2-to-1 ratio speed tune and we will still get hits off, there's times where like if a stun goes out and then with a mastery proc he cleanses it off, sometimes you just put the burn up instead of like doing an A1 or something, because
and when you're relying on leech to heal you, that can actually be a bit of an issue. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, but also being the void affinity, everyone knows that the affinity clan boss Geomancer has the potential of up to 4 times a reflection, right? Whereas with the void it's a 1-time, right? It's a 1-time hitter. So the damage isn't the same as I've seen with I think with the previous clan boss draft, I was hitting like spirit affinity, so I was reflecting crazy numbers. So it's definitely nowhere near that amount, I would say. But he's doing decent. I wouldn't say it's poor or bad. He's just like a good damage dealer, I'd say. But the main thing for me was damage mitigation. If you don't have a shield, that 15% damage mitigation is huge. And you know that I love all that stuff. So bringing that into the squad, especially without shields, I definitely needed that or someone like a Venom Mage in order to do that. But yeah.
Yeah, I can definitely, that all makes a ton of sense to me. I'm glad that he's working out. I was actually a little bit nervous about Geomancer and, especially in a Void Clan boss team and a killable team, like how effective is he truly going to be in that scenario? Every time I've kind of used him in those kind of teams, just because I don't have a lot of choices, and I'm picking him, right, as opposed to this where it's like this is what I have. Not quite as limited. So I was really interested to see how that's working. Are you using any any weird sets or anything? You going Toxic? You going Guardian? You doing Immortal Gear? Stalwart? Like, what's some of your plans as far as making this work for you?
With my account, I love the Doom Tower, but I've never really been a player till the last 3 months to farm Doom Tower sets. So being able to find very good Guardian sets was kind of an issue, especially if I felt like I was overcapping on the 4200 defense of Clan Boss Champions. Sure. And I was like, I'm so high on defense now because I don't have crit damage or crit rate in these sets. It's kind of, I've only kept Guardian for sustainability on champions such as Snake Track and stuff for Hydra Boss. I've never really thought about crit rate and crit damage on these kind of sets, right? It's all about sustainability. But I did kind of get that thing where, all right, we're reaching the crit caps and I'm overstacked on specific sets, and I'm like, I just wish I could have got some crit rate in there because it could really add some value. But I'd say, I'm bringing in Guardian sets is definitely something I've done. I don't have any Defiant sets because I've never bought a Forge Pass. I feel like that's kind of a big playing field in this. So I'm losing out on that 15% of damage mitigation again, working similar to a Stalwart. I could have maybe put that on someone like a rear guard, would have been nice. Right. And then also I don't have any poisoners in my team, so trying to put a Toxic set on somebody is something I've been considering as well. So yeah, some of those quirky kits have definitely come out.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely I can tell you from personally, the Find set is an amazing set, like absolutely amazing. Not as great for this competition because it adds 40 resistance to your champions, and when you have a player power cap of 300,000, that can be an issue. I'm like right up against the player power cap, so I'm like, this is very it's definitely something I have to.
Or is it defense percent that you get with it? I can't remember.
It's both.
It's both. Oh wow, okay, I didn't know that.
It's damage mitigation, and I think it's resistance. I think it is. Right?
I'm just gonna have a quick look.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's resistance. Nope, I don't need a filter. I don't know why.
Oh no, it's not. It's just defense plus 10% plus 15% damage taken.
Oh, is it just defense? Then maybe I'm being dumb.
It might be another one. There's another one like Fortitude does resistance.
That's what I was thinking of. That's what I was thinking was Fortitude. That's one of my favorite sets. But yeah, you're right. It is just defense and damage taken. Well, then you're SOL. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's easily one of the best sets in the game. You're a fool for not having it. I can't help you with your team. No, I mean, you're right. Like it's pretty good. Pretty good. I've been using a lot of Stalwart, but
yeah, I've just had to resort to off-piece sets and stuff, just trying to find stats over sets sort of thing, because as you're saying, with the 300,000 player limit, I'm literally on the brim. Like if I put something with a quad roll resistance on one of my champions' amulets, I'm over sort of thing.
Oh, it's so bad.
So I'm right below. But I'm actually very happy we did this because it kind of it balances everybody, because I felt like even last time my account didn't allow me to get above 300,000. So everyone being on that same playing field is actually pretty nice for me anyway at this time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely feel like, I found myself kind of right around that cap level. So I was a few thousand over, and I had to I've had to adjust things down a little bit. But I didn't mind it so much because it was that kind of I'm getting into the nitty gritty of really fine tuning the team, which is an interesting place to be because most of the time we attack these things from this high overhead view, as opposed to getting into the dirt and the, how do I improve? How do I get a few million more damage out of this squad? Right. It's not usually a thing. So it's been kind of nice to be able to actually get back into that a little bit and go, right.
Recording these runs have been absolutely a pain for me. My PC, right? I had a message for the first time in ages saying you need to delete some stuff out of room, because I just had videos after videos of recordings of the same run, and then I was trying to find which one was my best one here. I don't even know.
Can I tell you what I ended up doing? Because Hades is doing a bunch of runs. I'm doing a bunch of runs, and we're killing the clan boss. And yesterday we hit Affinity. I was like, no, I can't. I left the clan boss. I started a new clan. I had an Affinity team built up just because I wanted to showcase a video I'm going to do after all this. So I just beat all the clan bosses up until Ultra Nightmare, just so I could do more runs yesterday. So I was like, all right, we're going to start a new clan. Start a new clan. DWJ clan, I think or draft or something like that is what it is. scroll down.
Oh, so you actually went and beat all of the clan bosses again in a fresh clan. You should have just came over where me and Nubs are. No one's killing anything. We're not even like going below 90%.
No. I needed some space. I needed some space. But yeah, I feel you on that. Like doing a bunch of those runs, man. It adds up. It definitely does.
The worst one is because I'm not sure about you, but I'm watching my runs. So I'm there like, what's going wrong here? Can I change something here? Is somebody actually taking a smack at this turn count? And it's time consuming. I'm analyzing the runs now where I'm like, okay, I need, I actually open up a video of my best run. And I'll have it playing while the other one's going up and have them almost in sync so I can just track the damage. I'm like, okay, I'm ahead right now. I'm doing good. Okay, now it's going to come to this turn and I need the stun to go to here. If we can survive this hit. Oh no, we didn't get decreased attack. Oh, it's all over. Like, that's pretty much my approach. So yeah. That's crazy, man.
It's wild, you know. I don't want to spend, like, I have like a goal I want to hit. And if I can do that, then I'm just like, okay, we've done it. We've made our point. I can finally put this thing away. But you know, it's challenging here. What is it that you feel is going to, you know, who out of these competitors do you feel is going to win? Like, obviously you have some confidence in yourself, but you know, just like looking at the draft and everything else, is there anybody that you think is really? I guess better question: who's your stiffest competition in this fight? Who are you most concerned about?
I'm always concerned about you because you can never underestimate DeadwoodJedi, right? That's just being completely honest because one, you're bringing in the clan boss, like being able to like ultra champion out, knowing who to put in. It's kind of, you can't take that away from somebody. It's kind of, you've done it so many times, you know exactly what needs needing doing, right? So I feel like in a short time frame, you'll be able to fix something and speed tune something, even if it's pretty hard to do. So, and also having the Skull Crusher enables you to go more tanky and still be able to get 2 turns for every 1 turn of the clan boss, even in a slower speed tune. So you can really wrap up that defense and the guardian sets or whatever that may be. I just last a very long time, which I'm worried about. Also on top of that, I think one of the sleeper ones is actually Hell Hades, which I didn't think at first, but in hindsight, there's a lot of possibilities here, I would say, because being able to mitigate the crit rate with Claude is very strong. Like it's actually underrated for consistency, I would say. So I'm pretty sure that in his runs, he's probably seeing a very similar number every single time at this point. Taraji the Frog, very similar problem, right? To the Geomancer, not being able to reflect the poisons the same way I can't reflect the burns as well. Right. He's got Fade in there. I'm not sure where his healing's coming from, if I'm honest. So I'm interested to know if he's bringing in a leech or something. Because right now, I'll tell you what, I use Anchorite for 6 months on my main account, and this dude does not heal, right? So unless he's banking on the shields and surviving a long time like that, I'm not sure how long that will... How's he going to recoup? Do you know when he takes a big smack? Like, there's no recoup phase. It's just, unless he uses lifesteal sets or Bloodthirst or something. But I think there's a lot of potential in that team, though, to last a pretty long time, I'd say. Yeah,
I'm kind of feeling the same way. I think, like, you know, I look at Hades' team, I look at your team, and those are the ones that make me scared. They're the two that I can clearly see what kind of team you're doing. I know the speeds that you're going at. You have all the basics down, right? And so then it just becomes, you know, comes down to damage. When I look at Nub's team, I go, well, he's got 2 damage dealers on there and some real potential to do something with it. So I'm intrigued by it, but I'm not like convinced that it's going to be what it is. I think his substitution is going to make a huge difference on his squad, right? And so it's like, can he do more damage in a shorter amount of time than I can do in a longer amount of time? I think is going to be a big portion of that. You know, I look at Clover and I have absolutely no idea, like no idea what kind of a team he's going to do. I'm super intrigued. Yeah. I was talking with him yesterday. I feel like he actually has some interesting options for him. But I don't think he's going to be able to make the speeds that we do. So the challenge for him is going to be having less turns to do that damage in. That's going to be trickier. But you know, I feel like definitely something that's possible, and you know, maybe a timely substitution could make all the difference in the world there too. So just kind of. And also, that was the other thing with his team, you know, Liburga and Venomage, what a combo. I mean, just
it's
stupid
dirty,
good. Real scary. Dirty. I like, wow.
It's a lot of poisons, I don't even have Liburga
on my account, I think. What?
Yeah, it's a lot of poisons that he has to put. The thing is, it's instant damage because being able to survive a very long time is going to be rough, man. Like, although we've got some really cool champions and all that stuff, you got to remember, we're used to using at least 1 or 2 legendary champions in these specific teams, right? Like even with my one, the speed tune, although it's actually altered in many ways over this past few days, like it's not as simple as everybody thinks, I guess. But I'm not sure if to speak about that now or after the draft, but there was definitely some altercations with that. But on top of that, we've got no legendary champions, man, at all. Like I'm used to relying on the underpriest and stuff, or some form of like bonus stats, and it's just not there, and it can't be replicated without those. But
yeah, no, that's the biggest challenge with this is that, you know, when you're trying to build a clan boss team, you have a bunch of different roles and a bunch of different things you're trying to bring in, right? You're talking about ally protection, increased defense. You're talking about decreased attack, decreased defense, weaken, poisons. You're talking about speed champion. You're talking about extending those to make that all work together. You know, so you have all these different things, but you only have 5 champions to do it with. And the hard part with using only epics is there's not as many epics that can do all those things. There's a ton, like legendaries usually can do more things and do them better. And so it makes building teams like this a lot more accessible, a lot more functional. So much harder when you're just using the epics to do that. And it becomes definitely becomes a challenge, you know. I'm definitely going with that, you know, going through that right now. I've had to pull out some real creative adjustments to make it work, let's just say. I don't know,
man. Like even like masteries and gear sets, or if I swap this gear set for this one, will it do more? And then it doesn't, and I've just wasted my time. All of these things, man. But one thing I was going to ask you actually, because I've seen a few of your, some of the other fellow competitors, and in all of your discussions, you keep mentioning how much that you love Hitatsu, right? And one thing I heard you say was you was very surprised I chose him when I did. So what was your kind of reasoning behind that? I was actually anxious to know.
Oh, I just figured Hitatsu. I feel like Hitatsu is criminally underrated, right? And a big part of it is that his kit just doesn't jump off the page. You have to read into it to really understand how strong he is. But he's got, you know, decreased attack, but it's only like an 80%, 75% chance to land it. He's got a leech on the A1, which is great. He's got increased defense on the A3 with continuous heals. So all the stuff that he has in his kit is super valuable. And he's one of the few champions that brings a 3-turn increased defense buff. And as we know with the clan boss, because the clan boss is like a 3-turn cycle, right? AoE 1, AoE 2, and stun. Having skills on 3 turns really works in well. And if you go at a 2-1 ratio, it works on well too, because you can have whatever buffs, debuffs up for at least 2 of those turns. So it's just a natural fit, right? 4-turn doesn't fit as well. But most of these champions have these things on 4-turn cooldowns. So I knew that was going to be a target for me. Even if I didn't rely on the decreased attack, I was at least getting the increased defense. I was at least getting some healing, and I was getting that leech, you know, and all those are valuable enough. And so I just didn't expect him to go that early. I was expecting him to go in the back half of the draft, because for me, the front half is just like, well, this is where we take the game changers, right? But the interesting thing is, I think what he enabled, because once you had him under the tape on your team, you didn't have to worry about healing, you didn't have to worry about increased defense, you didn't have to worry about like a guaranteed decreased attack champion, right? You wanted a backup, but you had at least, you know, somebody that could do most of it. And so it kind of enabled you to focus on other aspects of the game, which turned out really well for you, I think, actually, the way the draft went. You know, personally, in that 3rd round, one of the things I should have done is, instead of, I think I followed suit of everybody else. Everybody started taking these damage dealers, right? Ruella, Venomage, Fane. Then you took, Tatsu. And really what I should have done is, instead of taking a Nax, who was definitely like tops of my list, instead of taking an Axe, I probably should have taken Archmage there. And then I could have followed that up with my Godseeker or my Sandlash Survivor, whoever I wanted. And, you know, kind of gone that route. Though in hindsight, it's probably good I didn't do that, because if I had done that, I'd have other gaps in my team. So, you know, it all works out in the end. But it's very interesting.
I actually chose the Tatsu because out of everybody, I know how much you like him as well, because we've done a lot of collabs in the past. And I'm a huge fan of Hatatsu. And I was like, in my head,
yo, he came for me, guys. He came for me.
I did. Yeah.
What? Wow.
Direct, straight vision.
Great targeted.
No, some say I might have come for you. Some might say I just know you too well. Yeah, so basically with Hatatsu, because you're such a sleeper pick, I knew that the chat anyway probably wouldn't have held him to a higher regard than like a Deacon. And what the thing was, I knew that Deacon would get banned, right?
Right.
Because after I picked my, well, you guys started talking about green champions when we started talking about Venom Age and champions that like Taraji mid-draft. And I forgot that Cold Brew took my green champion in White Dried Nia. And then I was like, in my head, do you know when I was smirking, you was like, why is he smirking here? Yeah. It's because I needed Deacon to go to swap out for Haikatun, because I wouldn't have had a green champion otherwise. Because I forgot about that. Yeah.
That's
So
interesting.
I was smirking, like, I was trying to like play it off poker face because I wanted the chat to take Deacon away, even though he's OP, so I can fulfill a similar role with a Haikatun, because I quickly searched for like a green champion and she was like the only substitute there. So gotcha. if Deacon didn't get taken, my team would be nowhere near as good as I think it is. So
interesting.
Yeah, I'm actually happy Deacon went. Yeah.
That's so funny that's how that turned out for you. Golly. Wow. I was kind of curious why you took Godseeker instead of Sandlash Survivor in that fourth round.
Because it's a tough one, man. Like, obviously if you're gonna try last a long time, you need a lot of healing, right? And because I don't have shields, because I did say in the draft, I kind of regret a Godseeker because I thought a Sandlash Survivor or an Anchorite would be better for what I'm trying to do. Because the Anchorite actually will be able to heal your stun target occasionally when he extends, the way that he does like a single target heal or something. And then he does the increased crit rate. So then I can start getting some more damage stats out in like the quicker turns. And then Sandlash is there. She does a bit of ally protection on a 4-turn, which is good as like a safety feature. I just thought that the heals and damage from Godseeker, I know, I'm used to it. Once you optimize a Godseeker's damage, she actually does a good amount of numbers. So I kind of treated her as a damage dealer as well, in a sense. I don't know what was going through my head, man. I just wanted to extend.
Okay. No, that's fine.
Yeah.
That was the one spot where I was like, I feel like he has enough healing already. He probably doesn't need Godseeker and Neri on that team, and Sandlash might provide a little bit more.
Now I'm happy that I took Godseeker. I'll say that. I'll say that.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
At the moment, no. In hindsight, yes. She's actually amazing for this. Yeah.
It's actually interesting you say that, because like I've kind of gone through the same sort of evolution of like, I'm glad I got the champions that I did, even if at the time I was a little bit upset with some of them. Are you making substitutions on your team? Making any changes here? None.
Nope.
I think you might be the only competitor that's not making any changes.
Yeah. I told you guys I'm coming.
Clearly had the best draft. If you don't making changes, you had a good draft.
No, I will say I considered it. One champion I was considering swapping out was the Haikatun, and then I remembered Apothecary is not green. And I was like, I can't do that because the Giant Slayer procs of Apothecary I felt would have done more damage, right? So that was kind of one thing that I actually tried and I went to do, and then I was like, this dude's not green, I'm gonna get kicked out, DQ'd. So I had to take that out. But apart from that, I kind of did consider taking Geomancer out, maybe putting in someone like a Whisper and champions like this. But
I had Whisper on my list to start, and I could never figure out how to actually bring her into a team. I was like, this is if everything falls apart and I just decided let's just YOLO this, that's how I would go about doing it. Bringing champions like Whisper, Marksman, and just pray for extra turns.
One thing that I've taken away from this draft, right, which I've never tried before, but I've always wanted to, which I'm happy I got to now, is I think that Hatatsu and Rayguard Sergeant is one of the best duos in Raid Shadow Legends. And I was saying to Nubs in a collab yesterday that in my team, I would rather have a Rayguard Sergeant than a Taraji the Frog. And I love Taraji, right? I use him everywhere. Yeah. He's such an amazing champion. He's got the shield, self-healing. But the way that they kind of just fit together so perfectly. Like Rearguard Sergeant's decreased attacks not 100%, neither is Hatatsu's. They both place continuous heal buffs, right? So I've got double continuous heal. So let's just say the leech doesn't go out on Hatatsu's A1 or something. There's still continuous heals then that still heals me up. So it's all of these things that when I was watching it, I was like, this is going to be so cool for players to see. So I'm so excited for that.
They're a really nice combination. I think when you took Rearguard, I knew instantly. I'm like, that's a perfect pairing with the team that you had. You're getting all the debuffs that you wanted. You're adding to the healing. You're adding to the buffs, right? And you're right. They complement each other so very well. Like when you talk about the things that you need, literally, like you got 90% of it with those two champions, right? What are you missing? You're missing Weaken, it poisons, and that's it. Like,
that's
literally
it. But I would say that Rearguard Sergeant, like trying to get that drop defense to land is... Oh my gosh, I don't even want to speak about it. It feels like I'm getting 3%ed every time, right? Because the way that you have to do it in a 2-to-1 is you practically get like 1 or 2 maximum chances to use that A1, and it's not even like a 50% chance, I don't think. I think it's like 40%.
The hard part is if you don't have counterattack, right?
Yeah, and that is one issue with her, but what I was relying on is the defensive mastery. So whenever like my stun target takes a stun, there's that chance to go back and maybe put a decreased defense out.
It's significant, you know, as you get later in the fight. I bet that decreased defense becomes much more consistent as she's, you know, with the ally protection especially, she's taking more damage. She's getting that 50% chance to counterattack off of that alone. I fully see that. It's something I always used to rely upon. I still rely upon a lot, and I think can be really impactful. So that makes a lot of sense. I obviously I'm spoiled with Skull Crusher. I'm getting counterattack, so you know any A1 skill I have is much more consistent than not, right? That makes
Skull
a big
Crusher,
difference.
man. I'm so scared of Skull Crusher because he's so bloody tanky as well. I was actually interested to know, but actually I don't know if to ask you. I was just thinking about your stun targeting. I'm interested to know. You'd have to tell me if you're going to use him as the stun target to basically be unkillable. Because there's that ultimate strategy,
I don't want to spoil things for the draft, but let's just say my stun targeting is like a Mona Lisa work of art. Okay, it's a beautiful system I have set up to deal with it. Originally, I was going to tank it with like an axe or somebody. That is no longer the case, and literally, it's glorious. It's glorious, and I'm very proud of it. And
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Do you know what? One thing I was going to actually mention about Hatatsu whilst we're speaking about it is one issue I came up with him. If you just want to go into the champion itself, I was kind of thinking like one issue that I encountered that I didn't think at all was in his passive, he's got a way of self-stun removal, right? And there is a way to kind of abuse this because he's not immune to stuns. He just removes the stun, right? So it's coded in a way where, like a Skull Crusher on a 4-to-3 team where you actually lose your cooldown. So it's not like you remove it and you're ready to go again. You have to go again in that same turn, right? But the funny thing is at the end of his passive, I believe it reads something like it removes this, and that before other debuffs, right? So I always felt like it was only the bracket debuffs that he removes. But what does the clan boss do on his A1? He does a poison debuff. So what's happening is I'm taking a poison, he's removing that instead, and then losing it for the stun turn.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I didn't anticipate that whatsoever. I think that was the biggest thing that threw me off in this whole thing. Because you take the poison, it's now on a 3-turn cooldown, you're not taking enough turns, and then he doesn't remove the stun. And then you're just out of sync. And I was stressed, man. Yeah.
Interesting. Oh, that's really
debuffs,
weird.
Right? I got no block debuffs, so I couldn't resist it or anything. It's going to get through. So,
but there's also nothing you could do about. I mean, you're going to be out of sync anyway, right? Whether he removes the stun or not, because it's not messing up your cooldowns. The problem is he doesn't get the attack, so you're not getting leech back out. Which is the one thing you'd want to get, right, from that A1 ability. That's a very interesting note. I had not figured that out. Good Lord, this man takes a lot of books. I didn't know that.
This whole time I've loved Hatatsu. It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. I was like, oh, that's why. Him and Rearguard Sergeant, like, amazing combo, 1,000,000 books between them. Just insane.
I fell down the free-to-play. Do you know what? I actually pulled an Hatatsu on the free-to-play yesterday.
That's what I saw. Yeah, I saw that.
Did you see it?
Real cool.
That's good.
I'm real glad that competition's over and I don't have to worry about you beating me again.
Don't worry, this one's about to be over, Deadwood.
Okay, buddy. Okay. Someone's feeling confident right now. All right.
Oh no.
Well, hey,
in all honesty, it's been a lot harder than I would say I thought it would be. I'm not sure how everyone else feels if you guys are all confident, but everyone's looking at my team. They think that it's really cool and all of this. I'm trying, right? I'm trying. We'll see where it goes, but it's definitely been nowhere near as easy as I thought it would be.
Yeah,
100%. Yeah.
I spent more time on this than I was anticipating already. And that was definitely more, I mean, it was surprising to me. And I think also, you know, while I feel very confident about the damage numbers I'm getting, it's that idea of like, I'm afraid somebody's doing better, and you keep getting back to the drawing board, trying to refine it, trying to perfect it. And that's part of it that's more interesting. And that's the part that's surprising me. It's like, you know, this happens literally every time we do one of these things. Is that I always end up doing this. We all end up doing this, but it always surprises me anyway. I'm like, oh, right. I get competitive at the end of it. I get into it. I'm like, oh, let's try, you know, make this happen.
No, as much as I love doing it for the community, right? I've done this in you've been kind enough to invite me in all of these challenges, and I love showing the quirky teams and all of that stuff for the community, right? Because I love everyone getting involved. But I think this time, eyes on the target.
Get the win.
I'm not messing around this time, right? But
all right,
it's been really cool. I would say that, yeah. It's really cool.
Fair enough. All right, well, let's call it here. Thank you so much for coming out. We're gonna do something on your channel too, right? So, guys, yes, we are. So, guys, make sure go check out YST. I have his channel linked down below, pinned comment and description of the video, like always. But we're gonna go on his channel and do a little talk. I think we're gonna talk a little bit about my team actually, which is we're gonna flip the questions, getting the script flipped on me. I'm gonna be in the hot seat. The bright lights on me with this one. We'll see how it all goes down. So, but anyway, thanks so much for coming over, man. Super awesome having you. Always, it's enjoyable. And guys, remember the finals are gonna be Friday, UTC 4 p.m. Right, 4 p.m. UTC, Friday the 24th of March. That's going to be noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. So stop by. It's on my YouTube channel. All you got to do is come in. We're going to be on the live. It's going to be a blast. I'm really anticipating it. We do have a bunch of giveaways for you guys as well. So you're definitely going to want to be there, even if just for that, right? So all you got to do is be at the chat and subscribe to the channel, and you're going to be able to win a lot of gems, a lot of stuff. Last time we gave away, God, what did we give away for I think for the original games, we gave away like well over 5,000 gems.
It was thousands, yeah.
It's like so many. I think we're gonna have easily that to give away, if not more. I'm pretty sure we're gonna have more actually, because I think I have 5,000 to give away just myself. So we're gonna be giving away tons and tons of resources for you guys. So come by the chat, subscribe to the channel, and you're gonna get a bunch of stuff. So it should be a lot of fun. Anyway, that's the video. Thank you, YST, for coming on again, my friend. And until next we meet, I'm the Deadwood Jedi.